Hey guys, Chief Ash here. Talk today about Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak. Meh.
Hey guys, Subpar Lobster here, and today we want to talk about the movie Crimson Peak, the latest film by Guillermo del Toro, telling the tale of Mia Wasikowska's Edith and her trip to the mansion Crimson Peak. So just to give a heads up, we're not going to do a very spoiler-heavy review. We're mostly going to keep it kind of surface stuff, stuff you can gauge from the trailer, just to kind of give kind of an overview of the movie. It stars Mia Wasikowska, Jessica Chastain, and Tom Hiddleston, and they play brother and sister. Mia Wasikowska is the young woman who meets Tom Hiddleston's character, and through a 45-minute opening of the movie, a bunch of events transpire, and we eventually get to the point where Mia Wasikowska chooses to marry Tom Hiddleston, and that's kind of the crux of the dividing factor between the movie. The first half is very much a build-up and getting the audience used to the fact that, hey, we're telling a story here, we're not just making a straight horror movie. And the second half of the movie kind of transitions, and that's where you start to really kind of unearth the weird stuff, like what the red clay underneath the mansion means, and what's going on with this brother and sister. So a big thing about this movie is that it is a very visual movie, and it's a very gothic movie. So it's about what you're seeing on screen. It's a beautiful movie to look at. There's a lot of shots of the red clay coming up on the snow, beautiful gowns and dresses, and huge scenic environments. And that's a very cool thing to see from a movie like this. This is, after watching loads and loads of found footage movies where they're shot in low, dark, kind of drab environments, it's cool to see a movie that is a horror story in essence going after a big, grand visual experience. You see it in IMAX, it's that much better. So what I think is really the strength of this movie is that it is telling a creepy and interesting story, somewhat funny and goofy at times, in a very beautiful visual way. It takes a lot of film elements from things like Nosferatu, 1920s silent horror movies, as well as some of the 30s and 40s as they went into sound. Kind of takes a lot of like film transitions and shots from those kind of movies and puts them on a big stage, like a big production of 2015 horror movie. And I think that's a very cool aspect of it. I think a big thing with how the reception of this movie is going to be handled is that it is marketed as a straight horror movie, and when you go into it, that's not what you're getting. You're getting a very something very different than what's shown in the preview, and I think that can turn a lot of people off. But I think going in with the right expectation of this is not a Paranormal Activity, this is more of a this is kind of almost like a triangle character story. We want to learn more about these people. Even the kind of villains of the story aren't villains. Everyone's kind of a tragic victim in a way of circumstance. We have these brother and sister who are kind of victims of their family and their family's legacy. We have these spirits in the house which are victims of the fate that befell them, and we have a woman who faces her own kind of family tragedy and then is thrown into a world that she doesn't understand and has to kind of piece together the mystery. I think it's a very interesting and very cool story. I think tonally it can sometimes get a little weirdly goofy at times. It kind of jumps back and forth between like kind of laughing moment and like more serious, and I kind of would have liked to see the movie play it more straight, but that's a nitpicky thing. I think personally, I think the movie having funny moments is really important, and it kind of makes it more appealing to a wider audience. And I think that's important, especially for a movie that honestly, had it been marketed in the way that it actually is, nobody would have went and saw this. I think it's cool that Guillermo del Toro's name can carry so much confidence in this kind of movie, because you're not going to see this kind of thing made very often. Unfortunately, this is the kind of movie that is not going to make as much money. It's a good movie, it's a good story, but it would have probably reached a better critical satisfaction had it been more of a smaller release. But I think the fact that it is a wide release with a big budget and beautiful set pieces really plays into it, and it really plays into what we want to see from this genre. We want to see more directors and more producers tackle horror from kind of a big budget perspective. It's really awesome that the medium can, or the genre, I guess, can be done in a way that you can shoot a movie that you like, Paranormal Activity, for $12,000 and make $1 million off of it. That's a great thing, and I love that there's that gap. But I love that there's that breadth of what you can do with the genre. But I would like to see more movies, give it a budget and give more confidence and say, this is the movie we want to make. And I think that's something that's really cool about Guillermo del Toro, is he has such a strong artistic vision. He sets out, he knows the story he wants to tell, and he tells it. He doesn't really mind the fact that most of his movies are marketed a little weird, Pan's Labyrinth, fairy tale, dark fantasy. No, actually a movie about Spanish Civil War. So I think it's cool that we have a director who's so dedicated to his vision that he doesn't let people kind of get in the way of it. It can work against people in a lot of ways, but I think he has kind of the talent and the creative mind to back it up. One thing that he does really well, and I think this movie doesn't skip on, is the effects. Some of the ghost effects in this movie are really incredible. You can marvel at like the red clay on the snow and the huge mansion shots, but seeing some of these creatures and these ghosts and these apparitions, whatever you want to call them, it's really quite cool. It would have been nice, I think, another nitpicky thing had he went straight with practical effects, but it looks like he used CGI, which isn't terrible, but I feel like in horror it really kind of detracts overall from the movie. Still, though, they're designed incredibly well, and they're very creepy. Even if the movie itself doesn't try to be upfront really scary, they're still very creepy effects, and I think that's interesting in the movie. Unfortunately, it's not going to appeal to everyone. Not everyone likes Edgar Allan Poe. Some people are going to think this is, they're going to see this movie and go, oh, I've seen this 100 times. And you probably have. I mean, the story itself is not revolutionary in the way that it's told. But I think what it does do is it kind of uses the genre to paint a tragic depiction of these different characters. It goes really deep into who they are and really kind of tells a tale that uses the creepy imagery and the gothic set pieces and the old horror film transitions to really dig down into these characters. I think that's something that horror does really well, is it kind of strips away all of the other stuff, strips away status, money, your job, all the things that we kind of use to define ourselves in a superficial sense, and it really puts us down at a core and says, who are we? And when faced in these very difficult, traumatic situations, how do we react? And what kind of person are we because of it? And I think Crimson Peak kind of shows that perfectly. This has been Subpar Lobster. It's kind of my review of Crimson Peak. I would say really solid movie, really good. Go see it, check it out. Gladly hand over your money so we get more movies like this. I'm sure a lot of horror fans are going to eat this up and want to see more movies made like this. So if you do, show your support. Go check it out. See it in IMAX. It's amazing in IMAX. That's how I saw it. It was really good. So let us know if you agree or disagree. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Like, subscribe, tell us in the comments. And also, let us know if you want to kind of go into any more deeper stuff. I would love to do a more deeper kind of jump into like what this movie's doing and some of the more some of the more into the weeds kind of stuff. I don't want to give too much away in a review, but especially for a lot of people who haven't seen it. But if you want to see more of that stuff, let us know, because I'm sure we'd love to go into it, kind of dig in deep into movies and really tear them apart. So let us know. This has been a Punch Button production, and I'm Subpar Lobster, and I'll see you guys later.
Hey, what's up? This is Nick Fleury here, reminding you to subscribe. And if you have any suggestions as to what we do next, or you want to tell us how we did, drop a comment down below. And if you want to see more, hit that like button.